I guess so we started with your song last episode, so I guess we're going to start with one of mine on this episode. I'm hoping this isn't the one because I love this song. We got FKA Twigs, Headie One, and Fred again with Don't Judge Me. Phoenix, is this the one you don't like?
No, actually, no.
Oh,
It's okay. Let me walk that back a little bit. Let me walk that back. It's this is definitely one of the ones. I think you probably knew this beforehand while you're sending it to me, that this isn't necessarily something I listen to on my own.
Well, neither is Post Shiesty for me, so there you go. Like,
right,
so
exactly. And that's why I was glad. And that's why I definitely was trying to be open minded about it. I'm not going to be as harsh as you were about Mr. Shiesty. You feel me?
Oh, come on! Don't act like I was super harsh.
Yeah, dude. No, you were really harsh.
Just
you should watch your back for sure.
Just throw me under the bus.
Don't go to Memphis. Don't go to Memphis.
Apparently not.
Not. But I gotta say, this song was different for me. I've heard FKA Twigs music before though, and she definitely has, kind of like a cool, angelic, spacey kind of vibe. And I thought the song was really cool. I had mixed reactions to it, I guess. You know what I mean? The Twigs vocals, I thought they were cool. And then correct me if I'm wrong, the beat gets a little dancey or a little upbeat almost halfway through her. And then there's the Headie One feature, which I'm actually familiar with Headie One only because of Drake's Instagram. Champagne Poppy, you feel me? Like, he had put up, and I'm assuming they're friends, or maybe he's just a fan of it. We know Drake has like a lot of ties to UK kind of drill music and British rappers. Mm-hmm. So I saw him post Headie One stuff, and I had listened to like a project he had put out, and I listened to it and thought it was cool. But as it goes for most UK music, in my opinion, it didn't really keep me hooked or anything, and it was kind of left a lot to be desired. And then I'll say, though, Headie One's verse on this, Headie kind of went hard.
He did.
Headie kind of went hard. And that's also where I had the mixed feeling about the songs, because, like, it has, like, the Twigs kind of on the intro of it. And the sonically, I thought, and with, like, kind of what I know about Twigs, I thought it was going to go into a different direction. Definitely switches the vibe up. And then the verse is like really freaking woke. Like, it's really talking about a lot of dark stuff, and or not even necessarily dark, but serious kind of conscious stuff. I think I was surprised by that, because I don't really look at UK rappers as the lyricists, you know what I mean? And I think it's also interesting to hear him talk about police brutality and like his struggle as a black man being in England, you know what I mean? Just because it's that's just such a different perspective than what we usually hear about it from people in the United States, obviously. But I was pleasantly surprised with his feature. I was pleasantly surprised, and then that kind of took the song up for me. I will say one thing that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, which is, this is such a small nitpicky thing, is in his feature, in his verse, he has something where he's like, he has this one bar, and again, this is nitpicky, but he has this one bar that's like, he's going on this thing saying like, we gotta change, we gotta do better, right? And you can hear him clearly, crispy, and like, he kind of has that cool, dark, melodic voice. And then he has this one line that, as I was reading, I was like, wait, why did he do this? He has this one line that's like, let him know that it's a bad thing to be racist or something. And like, let him, I can go and find it specifically. I don't have the song saved, because I'm not gonna lie, I saved it and then I deleted it because I don't know if I'm gonna go back and listen to it. You know what I mean?
Damn. All right,
but I was pleasantly surprised though, so that's why like this isn't the one that I was like, yeah, this isn't for me. And I think you could probably tell which one it is.
Now, process of elimination. Now I know. Which
yeah,
one's
exactly.
Be.
But I was surprised with Headie's verse that I did like a lot.
First, I was going to say, be careful when you're talking about UK artists, especially my boy Slow Tie, who just dropped an amazing project that I really enjoy, that I almost put on this, but chose to maybe do it for a different time. But be careful because
I actually like Slow Tie a lot. I actually like Slow Tie. I don't listen to him or follow him, but I like Slow Tie's. He has unique energy. You feel me?
Yeah, he's awesome.
Plus,
I really dig his stuff.
we have the mutual friend Taha, and that's a big artist for him.
Oh, he loves him. Yeah.
Opened my eyes more to that. And then Slow Tie had a sick feature on the Amine album. But this isn't about Slow Tie.
It's about Headie One.
It's about Headie One, and that's what I'm saying. It's not me generalizing all of UK music, you know what I mean? It's not usually my bag, but good music is good music. But so here it is, right? So he's talking, it's no more betrayal. We need permanent changes. Good. So we can move forward without turning back pages. Good, right? And like, mind you, if you're hearing this in the song, you can hear him clearly. It's audible. He's saying it, and he's saying it smooth. And then out of nowhere, in this next line, he goes, "Let them all know that it's wrong being racist." And then for some reason, that one line is like just drowned out by this like telephone effect. like it's like almost inaudible. Like if I wasn't reading the lyrics at the same time, I probably wouldn't have even kept it up. Which, like I said, this is like nitpicky, but that almost like threw me off for the rest of the verse. I was like, it felt like maybe he just like threw that effect in there to like be different, but it almost came off as if like, he's like preaching all this, and then he's like, "Let them all know that it's wrong being like," he like whispers it, "Let them all know that it's wrong being racist," and then he goes back into his thing, and and then that my kind of my mind went into a rabbit hole where it's like he doesn't want to divide his audience up, so I think like maybe he decided to like kind of drown that one out. So that again, that's a nitpicky criticism. But the Headie verse was surprisingly good. I'm not sure how Fred again is incorporated into this. I don't know if they're a producer.
I think it's
vocalist.
Just production. I'm pretty sure it's just production for them.
Okay,
from what I understand of him, he does. I think when you were talking about some of the like the dancey, almost electronic styled parts of this song, I think he has something to do with that. If I'm not mistaken, I could be very wrong about that, but that's at least my impression. I'm less familiar with Headie One than I am with Fred again, but what I do know of him is that he is more of like got the more electronic thing going. So
gotcha.
That's where I presume, and I think it makes sense too because like I agree with you that, and that's why one of the reasons why I want to talk about this record is because FKA Twigs doesn't really gone over like production like this before, so that's why I feel like it almost has to be because of Fred again, like kind of having the contributions on exactly. Interesting to hear your take on this. I'm not shocked
I'll say just to wrap it up, sorry.
Go ahead.
That's where the song felt just a little awkward. Like I liked the Headie verse, but then still had my little problems here. And then the front of the front half of the song just feels like it's not the same vibe as the second half of the song.
Yeah.
So that's why it's not my favorite. But it wasn't bad.
I kind of liked that aspect of it, believe it or not. I liked the build to it eventually, and how it almost felt like it was a completely different dynamic to this song. You know what I mean? When Headie One comes in and when it gets a little bit more heightened and a little more upbeat, I guess. Because it did sound like originally like a FKA Twigs song, like right off the jump, right? The first maybe minute and a half. And then I'd say the last 2 minutes or so kind of go into the Headie One verse, and it gets a little bit more, like I said, electronic. I think I really enjoy the most about this, and especially in the early on in the song, is those drums that literally feel almost like a heartbeat, and then like Twigs's like gorgeous falsettos just kind of like blend super well into it. So I just love these.
She's good for that. She'll always deliver with that.
Yeah, and I loved her Magdalene project. I believe that's what it was called. From, I could be wrong actually. Maybe that was a song off that album. But I'm not always good with the names of albums after the fact. But her album from last year I'm talking 2019, was so good. Yep, Magdalene, exactly. I had it right. Loved that project, and that was really
as usual, Mike. You usually get things right, am I right?
Thank you. But either way, I just love the emotion and sort of the passion that she puts into the song, and she does it often. Like that's sort of her thing, like with the beautiful falsettos. And again, I love the warped vocal effects from her too. I agree with you on that. And And it was interesting. I did write down the line, make changes without turning back pages. I thought that was like very,
Really?
yeah.
That was a good line.
It was a great line. It
And that was my
stuck out to
thing.
me.
That was my thing, Mike, is that I was in that verse. He got me. And again, I was pleasantly surprised because he got me. And then that line came up, and then for some reason he just lost me with that.
And like, of course, it's wrong to be racist. You know what I mean? That feels like a very obvious statement, right? Like that is so not to like it seems
it's so funny to me. Just like of course, let's put it out there. It's definitely wrong to be racist.
it's not a hot take, I don't think, right? So I see what you're saying. Like he's getting all very like sentimental and deep with this, and then it kind of just is like, hey, don't be racist. It's like that's his thesis, like his punchline. Like it's like when I'm talking to my students about writing essays and sort of the norm of what people think is like, oh, your conclusion essay, you're just recapping everything you just said. It's like, no, your conclusion needs to be like bringing it to like the next, some kind of heightened level,
kind of
right?
Synthesizing it all down in a different way.
Right. With this, it seemed like it was just kind of like, oh, like that's what you're going to leave it on. So I kind of understand. And then and the way it got almost too warped, like I think it was maybe too experimental.
Yeah. And then that's what I'm saying. The effect on that one line, it also just seemed misplaced to me.
Yeah,
like,
it didn't make sense.
For something that's so
that
agreeable, you know what I mean? And not a hot take and not like controversial or even that edgy to say after you just had like some sick, really like profound bars to then like kind of just like, it was inaudible. Like, you know what I mean? Again, I probably wouldn't have picked it up unless because I was reading the lyrics at the same time I was. And that was just an odd choice to me.
Yeah, and another thing too, past the race aspect of it as well, because of course, you know, Headie One and both FKA Twigs, I'm sure, you know, are victims of racism and things like that. But I almost feel like too with FKA Twigs as well, you know, her "Don't Judge Me," you know, refrain as well. I almost feel like she gets stereotyped as being kind of like wacky and weird, and like people like you like just artistically speaking, I'm not even talking from like a personal standpoint. Like I think when people listen to FKA Twigs, or like initially they might think like, oh, there's not much deeper to her than just like, you know, her kind of experimental, like, you know, warped vocals and falsetto tones and things like that. But she, when you really get down to nitty gritty, it's like, it's that don't judge a book by its cover thing. Kind of like what I did with Freddie Gibbs and Schoolboy Q, right? On that, on our last new singles recap episode that came out obviously a couple days ago. But in all kind of encapsulating this, I definitely thought the message was really brilliant, and overall, and I thought that the song was very like, just, I don't know, it was very touching, very beautiful. I agree with you in the sense that it's not a song I'm going to listen to like all of the time. Like it's not going to be like a nonstop like replay thing, but it's like a more of a certain setting for me. But it's a song I'm definitely going to come back to a ton. And I thought it was worth talking about, especially on especially with the police brutality aspect of it from a black man from the UK, right? Because again, like you had mentioned this already, but that, you know, we oftentimes, being in America, we look at it from the American perspective, and we don't really necessarily think about it from, you know, the UK perspective. And I don't know if it dawns on me a little bit if he's referring to it from the American side of things, or if he's also talking about it from how it like if it's prevalent.
Yeah,
in Europe.
I assumed that like I assumed it was from his perspective, and that maybe that. Right. That's just interesting that you say that, right? Because I also assumed that was coming from his perspective. Maybe he was just speaking for Americans,
like an observation,
writing from that kind of place.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, it's something I haven't been able to quite grasp on where that lies. But either way, it's a conversation, and I'm glad that, like, you know, other, you know, countries and just other people, places in the world are talking about it, right? So I definitely appreciate that from this song, and definitely one of the more powerful and moving songs, I think, from the 12 that we're over the 2 episodes.